This is one of the most extreme countries on Earth, where jungles, mountains, temples, and silence collide in one place. Nepal. And if you think Nepal is just Everest, you're missing almost the whole story. Because this is not just a country with a famous mountain. It's a country where ancient cities, high-altitude trails, sacred rituals, still lakes, jungle safaris, and everyday life all exist inside one small stretch of land. That's what makes Nepal so powerful. It changes fast. It changes often. And just when you think you figured it out, it shows you another side of itself. One moment, you're in the middle of a loud city with horns, incense, motorbikes, and temple bells all blending into one sound. The next, you're standing in total silence, staring at peaks so huge they make everything else in your life feel very far away. That contrast is Nepal, and it's one of the main reasons people don't just visit this country. They remember it, they talk about it, they dream about it, and a lot of them start wanting to come back before they've even left. In this journey, you're gonna see the Nepal people know and the Nepal many people never expect. The bucket list views, yes. But also the rhythm of the streets, the quiet corners, the local food, the spiritual atmosphere, the hidden towns, the jungle, the mountain villages, the moments that make the country feel real and not just cinematic. Because Nepal absolutely is cinematic. But it's also alive. It's human. It's intense. It's peaceful. It's chaotic. It's spiritual. It's adventurous. It's raw in some places and incredibly gentle in others. And that's exactly why it works. So let's start where many travelers begin. Kathmandu. And Kathmandu does not waste time. This city hits you immediately. You hear it before you understand it. Horns, scooters, engines, street vendors, footsteps, a temple bell somewhere in the middle of all of it. The sound of metal shutters opening for the day. Dogs lying in the road like they've accepted the whole thing as normal. Kathmandu feels compressed, busy, dusty, colorful, layered, and for a first-time visitor, it can feel like a sensory overload in the best possible way. There are wires above your head, prayer flags stretched across alleys, temple shrines tucked between storefronts, incense smoke drifting through traffic, people moving fast, people moving slowly, street life unfolding every second in every direction. Kathmandu does not invite you to observe from a distance. It pulls you straight in, and that's part of why it works so well as the beginning of a Nepal trip. Because right away, you understand something important. Nepal is not going to be a passive destination. It's going to ask for your attention. One of the best things to do in Kathmandu is simply walk. Not because it's calm, because it isn't. But because walking lets the city reveal itself in layers, you turn one corner and there's traffic, dust, and shops packed with movement. Turn another, and suddenly you're in a square with old brick temples, carved wooden windows, pigeons lifting into the air, and a feeling that history here is still part of normal life. That's especially true in Durbar Square. This is one of those places where Nepal's identity becomes visible fast. Ancient pagodas, detailed carvings, brick courtyards, people crossing the square, locals talking in the shade, children running past temples that have stood through centuries. This is not history staged for tourists. This is history still breathing, and that changes the feeling completely. You're not standing in front of the past as a detached observer. You're standing inside a place where the past and the present are still sharing the same space. That's one of the reasons Kathmandu is so memorable. It's not polished. It doesn't try to smooth out its contradictions. It lets old and new exist together, and that collision gives the city its energy. Then there's another side of Kathmandu, the one you feel when you climb. Swayambhunath, the monkey temple. This is one of the city's most iconic places, and for good reason. You start on the steps, stone under your feet, the city behind you, monkeys moving across ledges, stair rails, rooftops, shrines, prayer flags lifting overhead. As you go higher, something changes. The noise doesn't fully disappear, but it begins to soften. Then you reach the top, and Kathmandu opens up. From here, the city spreads across the valley in layers of rooftops, haze, movement, and distance. The stupa rises above it with its painted eyes looking out over everything. People walk around it slowly. Prayer wheels turn under passing hands. The wind picks up. The flags move harder now. This is one of those perfect Nepal travel moments. You climb from chaos into perspective, and the activity here is simple but powerful. Walk the stupa, take your time, watch the valley. Listen to the sound of the prayer wheels. Feel how different Kathmandu becomes when you see it from above. It's one of the best examples of what Nepal does so well. It changes your point of view literally and emotionally. Then comes Boudhanath. And this is where the atmosphere shifts again. Kathmandu gives you movement, noise, impact. Boudhanath gives you rhythm. If you come here in the late afternoon and stay into evening, you get one of the most memorable experiences in the city. The giant white stupa dominates the square. The all-seeing eyes look out over everyone circling below. Monks move through the crowd. Locals turn prayer wheels. Visitors slow down without even meaning to. Butter lamps begin to glow. The light softens. The whole place turns golden, then deeper, then almost dreamlike as dusk settles in. The best thing to do here is not complicated. Just join the circle, walk clockwise around the stupa, move with everyone else. Feel the pace. Listen to the quiet repetition of footsteps and prayer wheels. It's one of the easiest places in Nepal to understand, without explanation, that this country has a spiritual atmosphere woven directly into everyday life. And that matters, because Nepal is not just beautiful, it has presence. But if Kathmandu is all pulse and energy, Nepal has another side waiting for you, and it feels like stepping into a different country. Pokhara. This is where the whole mood changes. After the density of Kathmandu, Pokhara feels wide open. The sky looks bigger, the light feels softer, the pace drops immediately. And that's exactly why so many travelers love it. Pokhara sits beside Phewa Lake, and when the sky is clear, the Himalayas rise in the background in a way that almost looks too perfect to be real. This is one of Nepal's easiest places to fall into. You can walk by the water, take a boat onto the lake, sit at a cafe with the mountains in the distance, watch the weather shift over the peaks, and somehow, even doing very little here feels like an experience. Still, one of the best things you can do in Pokhara is get on the water. Take one of the colorful boats out onto Phewa Lake. Move away from the shore. Let the town drift behind you. Look ahead at the mountain backdrop. If the reflection is clear, the effect is unreal. The mountains sit upside down in the water. The lake goes quiet. The whole world seems to flatten into stillness for a minute. This is the kind of travel moment people imagine when they picture Nepal. But being there feels bigger than the image. because there's more than beauty here. There's calm, and in a trip full of powerful moments, Pokhara gives you space to breathe. Then it gives you one of Nepal's biggest visual highlights, Sarangkot at sunrise. This is a classic for a reason. You wake up before dawn. You head up while it's still dark. The air is cold. People are quiet. Everyone is waiting for the same thing. At first, the mountains are just outlines in the distance. Huge shapes, barely visible. Then the light hits. The highest peaks glow first. Then the ridges begin to separate. Then the whole skyline starts to ignite. Annapurna. Machapuchure, one of the most iconic mountain silhouettes in Nepal. This is not a subtle reward. This is one of those moments where the entire trip feels justified by what's in front of you. And there's something else Pokhara does well. It offers adventure without losing the beauty. Paragliding is one of the biggest activities here, and once you see the setting, it makes total sense. Launching from above the city, with the lake below and the Himalayas beyond, is one of the most unforgettable ways to see Nepal from the air. You don't just look at the landscape, you move through it. And that's the theme that keeps coming back in Nepal. It doesn't just show you great views, it puts you inside them. But even Pokhara is only the lead-in to the next part. Because from here, Nepal starts pulling you into the mountains for real. And once that happens, the scale changes completely. The Himalayas are the image people already know, but in person, they feel different. Bigger, colder, heavier, more physical. You don't just see them, you feel the distance they create, the effort they demand, the silence they hold. This is where Nepal becomes epic, not in a dramatic trailer kind of way. In a real way, the roads get narrower. The villages get smaller, the air gets colder, the mountains get bigger and bigger until a single person on a trail looks tiny against the landscape. That size difference matters because it's what creates the emotional shock of the Himalayas. You're suddenly aware of scale in a way daily life almost never gives you. If you head into the Everest region, the name alone carries enough weight to pull people from around the world. Everest, the highest mountain on Earth. Even saying the word creates expectation. But one of the best things about this region is that the experience starts long before the mountain becomes the point. You move through valleys crossed by suspension bridges. You pass villages built into impossible-looking slopes. You see stone walls carved with prayers. You hear rivers far below the trail. You feel the air thinning. This is where the trip becomes physical in a new way. Walking here is not just transportation. It's part of the experience. And even if someone doesn't do the full Everest Base Camp trek, the region still gives them what they came for. The feeling of being in the world's most famous mountain landscape. One of the most unforgettable experiences here is simply staying in a mountain lodge and waking up early. Open the window. Look outside. See the light beginning to touch the peaks. That alone can feel like enough. Then there are the suspension bridges. These are not just practical crossings. They are travel moments. Walking over one with prayer flags overhead and a deep valley below is one of the clearest reminders that Nepal is not a passive trip. You're in it. You feel the movement under your feet. You hear the river below. You look ahead and see the trail continuing up into a landscape that seems to get bigger with every step. That's why the mountains here hit so hard. They don't just look impressive. They make you feel your own movement through them. Then there's the Annapurna region, which for many travelers offers the best overall mountain experience in Nepal. Why? because the variety is incredible. You get terraced hillsides, forests, villages, tea houses, stairways, ridges, and huge mountain views, all in one region. It feels dynamic, like the scenery is constantly changing and rewarding you for continuing. One of the classic experiences here is the sunrise hike to Poon Hill. And this is the kind of thing that works so well in Nepal. The activity itself is simple. Wake up early, hike in the dark, reach the viewpoint before sunrise. But the payoff feels huge. You climb with headlamps and cold air around you. The ground crunches under your boots. People are mostly quiet. You're focused on the climb and on getting there before the light. Then you arrive. At first, it's just darkness giving way to shape. Then the outline of the mountains becomes clear. Then the light reaches the peaks and suddenly the whole horizon comes alive. This is one of the biggest wow moments in Nepal. Not because it's exclusive, because it's that good. And this is what separates Nepal from a lot of places. The famous experiences are often famous for a reason. They really deliver. But what makes the mountain region stick with people isn't just the viewpoints. It's the full experience around them. Tea in a cold lodge, a warm meal after hours of walking, a village appearing through cloud, prayer flags on a windy ridge, a stretch of trail where the only sounds are boots, water, and wind. Those details matter because they give Nepal texture. You're not just collecting views. You're collecting moments that feel physical and real. And then, just when it would be easy for the country to keep repeating the same mountain formula, Nepal changes again. This is one of its biggest strengths. It keeps surprising you. Take Bandipur. This ridgetop town doesn't hit you with giant spectacle. It wins you over another way. Old houses, stone streets, quiet corners, views out toward the hills and distant peaks. A much slower pace than the big city. This is the kind of place where the activity is the atmosphere. Walk, pause, look, take in the details. Bhaktapur proves Nepal doesn't always have to go huge to be memorable. Sometimes it just needs the right setting and the right mood. Then there's Bhaktapur. If Kathmandu feels intense, Bhaktapur feels more focused, more contained, more visual, more obviously photogenic. This is one of the best places in Nepal for wandering through old architecture and actually enjoying the act of getting lost. Brick squares catch warm light beautifully. Temples rise above open courtyards. Wood carvings frame the streets. Potters shape clay by hand in spaces that feel almost unchanged by time. One of the best experiences here is simply spending a late afternoon walking with no specific goal. Watch the artisans. Sit in a square, wait for the light to shift. Bhaktapur is not about rushing between sites. It's about staying long enough for the place to reveal its atmosphere. And then comes one of Nepal's most underrated contrasts, Nagarkot. This is not necessarily the loudest or most dramatic place on paper, but it delivers one of the things Nepal does best, horizon. Come here for sunrise, and you get wave after wave of mountain ranges layered into the distance. Blue, gray, gold, soft light moving across the landscape. The best activity here is simple. Show up early, stand still. Watch the mountain layers slowly separate as the light rises. This is the kind of place that reminds you Nepal's power is not always in the obvious blockbuster shot. Sometimes it's in the slow reveal. But if you really want to understand how extreme Nepal is as a country, there's one place you have to include, Chitwan. Because yes, Nepal has jungle, and for a lot of people, This is the moment when the country stops making normal sense. You come expecting mountain air and temple rooftops. Then, suddenly, you're in the lowlands, where the air is warm, the vegetation is thick, the rivers move slowly, and the soundtrack is insects, birds, and hidden movement in the grass. This is a whole different version of Nepal, and it's one of the reasons this country feels so much richer than people expect. Chitwan National Park gives you experiences that feel completely separate from the Himalayas. Jeep safaris, canoe rides, wildlife watching, dense greenery instead of stone and snow. And the fact that one country gives you both high-altitude mountain drama and jungle safari is kind of insane. One of the best ways to experience Chitwan is by canoe. The water is calm. The banks are thick with vegetation. The whole pace slows down. Then you start noticing movement. A bird, a crocodile, the possibility of a rhino appearing in the distance. This is a different kind of wow, less open, more tense, more alive. Then on a jeep safari, the experience changes again. You go deeper into the landscape. Tall grasses, forest tracks, heat, dust, sudden wildlife encounters that feel even more surreal because this is happening in the same country where you were just looking at snow peaks. That contrast makes Nepal unforgettable. It refuses to stay in one category. Ancient city, spiritual center, adventure base, high mountain trail, quiet heritage town, jungle safari destination. It's all here. And between those places, what really stays with people is the feeling of life in Nepal. Because the country is not just made memorable by major landmarks. It's made memorable by daily life. Walk through a market and you feel it right away. Color everywhere. Spices, vegetables, fruit, cloth, metal pots. Voices calling out. Scooters squeezing through impossible spaces. Tea being poured. Children moving through the crowd. Someone carrying a load that looks way too heavy for one person. This is where Nepal becomes more than a travel video. It becomes real. And the more attention you give to these moments, the richer the country feels. Because Nepal has effort in it. You notice the hills, the roads, the carrying, the physical nature of everyday life. But what comes through is not just difficulty. It's resilience, adaptation, a kind of strength that doesn't need to announce itself, that matters for travelers. Because the country doesn't feel staged for visitors. It feels lived, and that's part of what makes it emotional. You're not just moving from one attraction to another. You're moving through a place where life keeps happening all around you, whether you're there or not. That gives Nepal depth. And then there's the food, which becomes part of the rhythm of travel faster than most people expect. Nepali food is not trying to impress you with complexity. It works because it fits the journey. Dal bhat is the classic example. Rice, lentils, vegetables, pickles, curry, simple, warm, filling. After a long road day, a city day, or a mountain day, dal bhat feels exactly right. It's the kind of meal that becomes more satisfying because of where you are when you eat it. At a roadside stop, in a local place in Kathmandu, in a mountain lodge with cold air outside, in Pokhara after a full day by the lake and the hills. Then there are momos. If there's one food that instantly connects a traveler to Nepal, it might be this. Steaming dumplings, spicy dipping sauce, street stalls, small restaurants, quick meals that end up becoming memorable for how well they fit the moment. One of the best experiences is getting a plate of hot momos after sunset, when the air cools down and the day finally starts to settle. It's simple, But in a place like Nepal, simple can hit hard. And then tea. Tea is everywhere, but in Nepal, it becomes part of the atmosphere. Tea in the city alley, tea beside a trail, tea in Pokhara with the lake in front of you, tea in the mountains with clouds moving past the window. Sometimes the best travel memory is not a big attraction. It's a small pause in the middle of a big day, and Nepal gives you a lot of those. Then there's the spiritual side of the country, which adds another layer to everything else. Not in a forced way, not in a look how mystical this is way. In a real way, in Nepal, religion is part of daily life. Prayer flags stretch above roads and trails. Shrines appear in the middle of city blocks. Temple bells ring through traffic. Incense moves through public space. Prayer wheels turn under familiar hands. At Pashupatinath, the energy is intense. This is one of Nepal's most sacred places, and visiting it feels less like sightseeing and more like witnessing a living part of the country's spiritual identity. There's gravity here, ritual, smoke, stillness in the middle of movement. It's one of those places that stays with you because it feels important, not because it's just photogenic. Then Boudhanath gives you another kind of spiritual experience. Less intense, more immersive. Walk the circle around the stupa in the evening. Watch the sky darken. See the lights come on. Hear the steady repetition of prayer wheels and footsteps. That's one of the best things about spirituality in Nepal. It's not isolated in special moments only. It's woven into the atmosphere of the country. And for travelers, that changes the experience. You're not just moving through beautiful landscapes. You're moving through a place with soul. That feeling keeps building over time. Because Nepal doesn't hit you only with one giant moment and then fade, it layers itself. Kathmandu's energy, Pokhara's calm, the Himalayas scale, Bhaktapur's quiet, Bhaktapur's old world beauty, Nagarkot's horizon, Chitwan's wildness, markets, tea, momos, prayer flags, temple bells, cold mornings, warm meals, dusty roads, high trails. All of it stacks together. And eventually, Nepal starts feeling less like a list of places and more like one complete experience. That's when a destination becomes hard to shake. You start remembering details you didn't expect to care about. The cold on your face before sunrise in the mountains, the sound of prayer wheels in Boudhanath, the reflection of the Himalayas in Pokhara, the movement of monkeys at Swayambhunath, the heat of Chitwan after the mountain air, the feeling of crossing a suspension bridge high above a river, the taste of tea after a long walk. The first time you realize how tiny people look against the Himalayan landscape, these are not just visuals. They're anchors. They're the things that make the trip feel real even after it's over. That's Nepal's real strength. It gives you spectacle, yes, but it also gives you texture. And the texture is what stays. That's why so many travelers come here for one reason and leave talking about 10 others. They come for Everest, then talk about Pokhara. They come for trekking, then talk about food, temple atmosphere, cities, villages, and the people they met. They come expecting a mountain destination, then realize Nepal is much more complete than that. This country can give you one of the best sunrise views of your life and one of the best quiet afternoons of your trip in the same week. It can give you adventure and stillness. Intensity and rest. Chaos and clarity. That balance is rare. And it's a huge reason the country has such a strong hold on people who visit. So when you think about Nepal now, it probably doesn't look like just one thing anymore. It's not just Everest, not just temples, not just trekking. It's a country where you can walk through ancient city squares in the morning, eat hot momos in the afternoon, watch sunset at a giant stupa, wake up by a lake, fly above the hills, hike into the Himalayas, cross hanging bridges, drink tea in mountain lodges, and then head south into the jungle to look for rhinos. That range is insane. And that's exactly what makes Nepal so easy to want, because it doesn't just promise one kind of trip, it promises many. If you want culture, it's here. If you want scenery, it's here. If you want adventure, it's here. If you want spiritual atmosphere, it's here. If you want wildlife, it's here. If you want food, local life, and places that still feel deeply themselves, it's here. That's why Nepal works so well for travelers. It gives you more than you came for. And maybe that's the best thing you can say about any destination. Not that it looked amazing, that it kept giving you reasons to stay curious, that it kept surprising you, that it kept opening up, that it made you feel something real. And Nepal absolutely does that. So now let me ask you this. When you think of Nepal, what do you actually see? Do you still see just a faraway mountain country? Just a bucket list place with one famous peak and a few temples? Or do you see something bigger? A country where giant Himalayan walls rise over tiny trails, where sacred stupas glow at dusk, where monkeys run across temple roofs, where boats drift across still lakes under mountain reflections, where tea warms your hands after cold mornings, where old brick cities and jungle safaris somehow exist in the same trip, where every few days, the whole mood of the journey changes again. Because that's the thing. Nepal is not one experience. It's a collection of unforgettable ones. And once you see how much this one country holds, it becomes very hard not to imagine yourself there. Watching sunrise from Sarangkot, walking through Bhaktapur in warm evening light, crossing a suspension bridge in the mountains, circling Boudhanath at dusk, eating momos after a long day, sitting in a boat on Phewa Lake, standing under Himalayan peaks that make everything else disappear. That's not just good travel content. That's a real reason to go. If this journey took you there, subscribe for more places like this. Like the video if Nepal just moved onto your list. And in the comments, tell me the first place in Nepal you'd want to experience for yourself. Because some trips stay on your screen, and some start living in your head until you finally book them.